next round starts tonight at the Sinquefield Cup at the 22nd of August 2018. I would like to summarize the fourth round of the competition from yesterday, 21st of August. And of course, the thing is my point of view, and of course, with the show and with the computer analysis, this is what I try to focus on, and how those players ought to react to that, and what I think they should do. Or yeah, well, there are plenty of things around that. I mean, here we see the position from Caruana taking on Nakamura, all-American encounter. Yeah, all-American. It is, well, yeah, we could start this discussion or rather leave it, but I think it's not, those times are not primarily for, yeah, well, any nation-wise specification. I mean, you play for whichever country you would like to, or yeah, what would this country mean then to you? But it's, of course, it's a very special discussion you could start here, right? But where is the identification with your country? What is your country? I mean, where you were born, where you grew up, the language you speak, or it's all international. And anyway, it's Caruana and Nakamura. So, two of the top grandmasters of the world. Wherever they were born or what their native, yeah, the language or the, yeah, well, there had been an application just right now, they said on Facebook or something, I read that, there was an ad somewhere, where you can start and have a look where you come from, right? Or what your gender, no, not gender, what was it? Many percent of what you are. Maybe I'm 35% Italian, or am I Spanish, or maybe French, or whatever I am. Okay, anyway, Caruana played this move in this position, which came a bit as a surprise, you could say. And this is, of course, the moment, and most of you will have seen the game, I guess now. And I mean, what is the difference now? What are they trying to do? I mean, you have a computer and they do all their analysis, and I'm pretty sure they try at least to verify some lines. But the work, where does the work start? It is after the computer gave his assessment, and you still have a look a bit deeper, and maybe the other one said, okay, the computer said it's fine for black, so I do not need to look at this move any longer. If it's even indicated, I mean, if it's not there, top 3 or so, then you might even ignore it. Or if you think of it, or say from the black point of view, you see this move, you think, well, why not make this move, execute it, and then see what the evaluation will be. And then maybe after 10 seconds, half a minute, you say, well, it's not worth it. There are plenty of ways to continue here, and there's no problem for black. And this amazing concept, I'm not trying to show this whole game, it's just an amazing concept. And it's not this move. It is after this reply, it is the move itself, and we can say, well, castling into it has been Bobby Fischer, right? It's Larsen, was it? I don't know. But anyway, this is B file, okay, but those days are long gone when you said, well, open file, you can't castle with your king there. There are plenty of ways to continue and also secure that king, and you see where it ends up. But much more is it this move that you would be worried about, right? And I mean, the answer is surprise. Yeah, well, I saw this move, of course, instantly. I think, okay, castle, that looks perfect to me. I mean, what's wrong? I mean, I would not be worried about my king. But then you see knight g4 and you think, well, I can't do that. I mean, you wouldn't think about this because of e5. Even if there is a knight d5, you just expose more and more pieces. And after queen c5, maybe you can attack this one, but there's knight f2. No, well, no way, no. I'm not going to consider this any longer. So bishop f4 can't be the answer, and also bishop d4 can't be the answer, because even worse, in this line, you would say, well, I can't even attack here, because after takes, the knight is hanging. So there's no way actually, and move the knight now, no, that would be a desperate attempt. I mean, you would not have space, but there would also be bishop b7 there. So no way. So, I mean, castling is not a problem in terms of king safety or something like that. But it's a problem because there's a concrete threat. And there is a, I mean, whenever knights cross the halfway line, right, it becomes dangerous. And this is an unchallenged square here, so it means danger. It's attacking lots of things, but it's attacking this bishop, which is not an attack because it's protected. But you wouldn't do this move castling after you saw knight g4. Maybe you've done it and you did not see knight g4. But why did Caruana still do it? And he was in the interview afterwards, and he said, well, pretty quickly he tried to give this answer, I'm not going to repeat that. Or I don't think I'm going to repeat that, or something like that. He's very, very nice guy, and he's very, well, what is he, what would you say? A bit shy in some sense, right? That you wouldn't say, well, I'm top player of the world, so leave me alone with your silly questions. Well, I wasn't sure, and yeah, maybe, and I'm not going to do that again. Things like that. But it's pretty sure that he did have this position on the board, which I mean, you can say plus or minus, because if he had it on his board, it's not a, you know, he did not create this idea over the board. But still, it's but simply to play rook d2 and say, I don't care about this double pawn here, this is what you would worry about. But when we see this position now, I mean, there is one central file, and this one central file is open. And what you always try to get is you want to have safe places for your pieces. And there would not be a safer place for a piece than the knight on c3. It's posted here, right? You have it in front of the isolated pawn here. It is also on an open file, I mean, you can say, and then this is also ideal in the sense of, well, remember Nimzowitsch, because you block the isolated pawn, right? But it's also controlling, or yeah, it's dominating in some sense this bishop, right? Which is, I mean, it's not a rare case that knights dominate bishops, but it's a pretty far, you know, it's far back, this outpost. It's not a real outpost, it's just a good square. And this knight is not gonna do a lot in this game until the very end, because it is so well placed, right? And what is so nice about it is also what Caruana said later on, right? I mean, the game went on, I'm not even sure, right? I mean, the computer might correct me here if because I did enter the moves. I think he went for this, and this was somewhere in the game. And there happened a few funny things, because rook b4 was placed, no. So most likely he played h6 first, I guess. And now the king went even to a1. And I saw this concept also played by, you want to make sure there's never going to be anything, you know, queen e5, queen takes c3, or so. And you feel a bit safer on this black square, because the opponent does have a white squared bishop. So this is why. And all those moves don't do a lot, because what do you care for? You care for pawn breaks, do you? And there are no pawn breaks. So what would you be worried about? It's nothing, right? Just bring your pieces into better places and wait for things to happen. And I think Caruana went back. Maybe you don't understand, But this move a3, it's always in the air, and maybe you would think about e5 at some point, although you would not love the knight to come here and then being protected by e4 when you get most likely nothing better than exchange it at some point and leave white the chance of deciding whether he takes with a pawn and have a free pawn, or still with the rook and simply control the file. Which is not the only open, well, it's the only fully open, what do you say in English? I don't know. But this is half open, and this is, and it's controlling this file. And so now there's no way to challenge this e-file anymore. Is it white to move? Okay, so he did play queen e4, and there was bishop b7, and there was queen d4, and this is a very nice moment. I mean, it's not just this move here. It is the move e4, right? That happened. And now Nakamura also doesn't have a lot to do. I mean, where the pawn breaks, I mean, you wouldn't start to move these pawns, right? You wouldn't know where to get with this one, right? So what would you do? This one is not going anywhere. e5, you do not want to play because of the square d5. So what do? You shuffle your pieces around. I mean, there's not a lot, but you can say, oh, okay, I'm going to double maybe one point, although he's controlling this file. And now this is another nice moment, very nice moment here, when Caruana said after the game, he said, I didn't know what to do. I didn't really know what to do. I mean, now all his pieces are in ideal places. So what am I going to do, right? I have no idea. But the game goes on. I mean, I'm not going to offer a draw because I get better pieces, but I don't know what to do, right? So what would you be considering here? I mean, he played the move queen f2, and I mean, this show, right? And I keep praising it, although I would say now, well, okay, I'll get back to that later. But queen f2, I mean, this won't be the computer move, I think. But what does it achieve? Well, not a lot. Wait for the other one, but it's not spoiling anything, right? I mean, why wouldn't he do rook d8? I do not really know, right? But d1 is controlled, so you could think about. I mean, we can move that here, and simply. I mean, I'm not saying that was his intention, right? But I can imagine that he even considered this move. I mean, you have to. Well, you know, I'm fully dominating this piece here, right? And after queen a7, I mean, you wouldn't know what to do, really, right? I mean, king may come to c2 at some point. It's nothing yet achieved, but black's got nothing to move here, right? If you play bishop c6, I might even consider this, right? And simply pick up the pawn. So, I don't know. And remember, it's never going to be a threat against the king in this case, because there's always this nice move. There's nothing going to happen to the white king, right? So maybe this was his idea, right? Simply wait for the other one to, well, yeah, somehow lose his nerves. I don't know. They are far too cool. Anyway, and it's just a move. He made a move. And maybe he does consider queen f4. What I find funny about it is that this those commentators, right? And I wouldn't, you know, Jen Shahade, she's very good, because whenever, you know, she wouldn't say so much about the moves also, but whenever she says something, you would say, well, this is a grandmaster, okay, I can see that, right? It may be a woman's grandmaster, I'm not sure, but this is some understanding of chess, right? And also, it's the way she does it. But Caruana, you could never complain, right? Because he's very careful, and he doesn't mind if he makes a bad move. He says, oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Also, and it's always entertaining, and it's the way he says it. It's nice. But they were wondering about this move, and I can well explain it. Because I said that this line after rook d8, because you give up this file, you don't want to trade. But what Caruana, for example, said was the move e5. And to be honest, I mean, you simply can't play e5 here. It's not, you know, this knight is not going anywhere. You don't want it to move even. but it's not getting there anyway. And even if this would be a dream square, it wouldn't be, because this pawn is loose here, right? Even if you ever would get here, it could always be undermined with f6 or simply attack. And if this bishop were here, or I mean, it can trade there. e5 is a terrible move, I would say. And I'm not criticizing Caruana. It's just, if you want to make out the difference between Caruana maybe and Caruana, I mean, nowhere, anywhere in his thoughts, this move would have. Well, you could say, well, there's another e-pawn to cover this square later, right? So he's gonna play nothing, and I'm gonna do this, so I still control it. But you still wouldn't like to weaken this square, right? Well, I mean, for no use. You simply expose the pawn, right? It's a weak pawn. And you give Black the chance to whenever he wants to. Because this is a double pawn, right? So you cannot, it's an isolated double pawn, right? If there were to move, this pawn was here, e5 would be perfect, right? Why not e5, f4, go on. But it's an isolated double pawn. Anyway, I mean, now what happened? He played the move queen f2, which I like this a lot, because this is the move. Those are the kind of moves that are way beyond players of my caliber, or yeah, usually, well, the common players, and they all are. And this is top 10. It is top 2. It may be world champion in November, and so maybe the best player in the world, or second best, which he will surely gladly instantly sign if he were considered this. But the rating gives. Anyway, rook d7 is a threat, so he did play bishop c6 and not rook d8, probably for the line I was just showing. And now he played this move. And okay, so queen f2 was just a waiting move, not spoiling anything. And it's such an art, right, to make a move. And you see here, for example, why the king is on a1, because here such a move like bishop e4, and you do not have to even consider, because your king is on a black square. Okay, and keep in mind this knight, right? It's always going to be there. It's dominating this bishop. And now bishop e8, and now he took here, and I think he invaded instantly, and I mean, he may not really be worried, Caruana, or I know, Nakamura. But he may also notice he's got nothing to do, right? So now he won the 7th rank, which is a very important thing, but otherwise the pawn is lost. So keep in mind, or yeah, look at these pawns. They are weak pawns, and the weakness of this pawn is like this. It's not just isolated and weak, it is also hemming in this bishop. So the bishop got nowhere to go, right? Where's the diagonal it wants to be at? And imagine it being here, still biting on granite, right? And if it's over here, well, e2, it's all covered by the knight, so no way this bishop ever gonna have an impact, right? So anyway, king f8, what would you do, right? Bring the king to e7, fine, well done. Rook c5, there is something, right? And now very nice maneuvers taking place. Okay, I said there was rook a7, of course, and I think he played rook h5. No, he did not. First of all, he was ready to challenge this rook. But how would you challenge it? Well, what's the problem? Well, I think rook c7 simply does nothing, because you're going to trade, you're going to bring the rook down here. Rook d7 is never a threat, because, I mean, an exchange threat. Because this rook got nothing to eat here, right? On d2, on d1. I mean, imagine a line like, what did I just say? Rook c8? Now what did white do? King b1, of course. Now imagine you play this. Okay, and I'm simply gonna trade here. and I go down with the rook here, you say, okay, I challenge your rook. It's nothing, right? These pawns, look at these pawns, how good they are, right? Yeah, okay, you simply go home. Nothing to do here, right? I'm gonna pick up your pawn on a5. Bishop got nothing to do, can't even move. So this is impressive, right? So it wouldn't achieve anything, right? Challenge the rook on the 7th. It seems to make sense, but it leads to nothing for black, right? So those are the... Of course he played rook h5, h4. Now, I mean, this is ideal for the rook, right? And it's attacking this pawn. And what would you dream of, right? But now the next move are great again, that Caruana plays. g5, no threat at all. And now come here with a rook. Okay, there had been rook f1 first, I accept that. Because you simply pin down that bishop, no move, right? So there's king g7, of course, you want some space for your king. And now this is an important move, right? Because, I mean, actually, you give up attacking this pawn, which you would really like to do. But this is no difference, right? You stop this rook from occupying the b file. And you bring your king here, and, I mean, this is ideal. And first of all, let's get our pieces into perfect places, right? Then we can start talk about other things to do, right? So rook b7. And then we can look for tactics, or we can look for... Right? Now you play king g6. What else? I mean, what would you do? You would try to free yourself, right? And get some space and maybe some play yourself by playing f5. And what would you expect? I mean, you take here, okay, I gave up I took white the isolated pawn, okay. But I'm still happy. I may push here, or I may get with the rook in here and attack the g3 pawn, simply have some space for my pieces. And it's amazing, I mean, how deep the understanding of this game is, and I mean, Nakamura used to get angry after the games. He used to. I mean, I wouldn't say they are all pretty cool and the way they react. I mean, it's great behavior, and I think they simply know how good they are, and okay, it can happen that they lose. But he may be the one who still overreacted in some sense, and he still may do. But after this game, he was, first of all, he was starting to maybe to be a bit angry, get up, and without, you know, when he resigned to Karyakin and he didn't look at him, okay, it was okay. Some kind of emotion, you would say that's respectless or something. But anyway, in this case, he would have, you know, he resigned, and then you would be angry, but then he thinks about it and he's like, well, actually I can't complain. So let's have a look at some lines, right? What did you see? Because he knows Caruana is so good, right? Now, you dream of getting some kind of play, right? And if you would say this is an error, I mean, it may be an error, okay, but it's very deep. And it's, you still would say, well, I'm going to do this move. I'm still going to do this move. If I lose, okay, but I have to do this. Now, of course, h takes g. I mean, not of course, that's what they... And now, I mean, once again, we have this situation after f takes e4, but because this is what Nakamura played, right? And let's have a look at the line, right? Because, I mean, Caruana, he sees everything, right? Does he? What was this line? I mean, he was showing this line. Oh, I think that was bishop c6. This was the line. Bishop c6, right? And he wouldn't take here. He would have played this. And then the computer was not giving this line, so no one of those experts, I mean, they are grandmaster, okay, but they don't have an answer. I mean, computer's not showing this move. So what is? But Caruana was very sure that this was the way to go on, and maybe if he doesn't show it, it means well, he doesn't show bishop c6 because it's so bad. I don't know. So they don't get to this position, right, with the 8 of the computer. Anyway, what he said now, and there was a suggestion by... Was it that he suggested this? Did he suggest this? I mean, at some point he said the rook f5 is the only move. Well, I'm not sure now, so I'm sorry for that. But somehow they got to this position, right? And then he simply said, well, I can't be any worse. That's all he said. I can't be any worse. I'm sure I can't be any worse. Well, actually, I have to admit, I'm not sure now, so sorry for that, because I can't show the line that Caruana instantly showed, but it was connected with this move rook takes f5 that no one of the experts had seen. And he said, no, rook f5, that's the only way he can play there. But as I can't see that, and he was very sure, and it shows me once again. Anyway, so this was an error, but what kind of error? And now let's go, the way the game went. I mean, what someone might not be worried about in the first place, right? When you first look at this position, and you think, well, okay, got a nice pawn duo here, and I'm gonna challenge this, I'm gonna push this, I don't know yet. But here's this move. I mean, you would not even know what to suggest, but I think Caruana's pointed out this line. H takes g5. No, he said simply rook h1. And that is it. He may have shown this line, but I think it makes no big difference, because I would say king e3 is as good here, or is it? But he simply said g4. But I think that's also what the computer showed here in this position, right? Because it's simply, well, it somewhat traps the rook. It's got nowhere to go. And it simply, well, this is the mating net coming up here, right? King e3, and so on. So this looks completely lost, which is kind of a, yeah, well, I mean, in the moment you play g5 and f5, you may still think, well, I've got everything under control, right? I'm not saying that Nakamura is somehow careless or things like that, but you may also be surprised all of a sudden to see there's rook h1 and I'm completely lost, right? There may even be the move rook here to here, right? King is not gonna escape. I don't know. But anyway, it was not the way. So the game went on, right? He was instantly trying to, well, simply hit this pawn. And now what I find funny is, it's first of all computer analysis, and then the interview and the move Caruana made, right? And of course, I can simply say that because I thought about the position and I thought, well, I'm positive, I'm sure he's gonna make this move, because you do not want to mess up things. I mean, there may be computer and analysis, and they found so many moves, and all of them were so good, and so they always have this chance to find the better move. But this move is too positional, it's too good to miss it, right? It is the move you're simply gonna play, right? It is, I mean, because they discuss about, is he gonna play this move, which is given by computer in the end, or maybe a perfect solution, but he may still change his mind after half an hour. I don't know, but I don't care, right? I say, please stick to the human. Please understand the game, the way they think, and the way they play. And it's so good, and it's so, but in the end, it will stay human. It will, and this move simply has to be the move you're gonna play, right? Because you don't want this mess. I mean, g takes h6. Okay, first of all, you say, well, this pawn is not going anywhere because it's gonna pick it up. Then you got the second thing. You don't want this pawn to be here. No matter where, and if the computer says king e1, you don't want to have your own king in a mating net, right? It is like checkmate. I don't know what the computer says, I forgot, and I don't want to know, because I just want to see the human. Yeah, if you want to say I don't want to know, okay, I give up from this concept that I pointed out yesterday when I said, or 2 days ago when I said, we have to learn or make use of the computers by trying to understand their moves, right? And then still include it into our thoughts, maybe. And chess has changed with the aid of computers, right? Because simply they do things they wouldn't have done 50 years ago. But that it would happen anyway. So even if, I mean, you wouldn't wish to have this position because you say it's just a mess. I don't know where to put my king. But in the long run, there will be threats against my king somewhere. Even if you can say, well, where is the threat, and how would you execute your threat? You don't want to have that. And you also say, well, I may have an extra pawn, which I'm not sure of. No, because he took a pawn here. So there's not an extra pawn. King got to move. You hit here, and I don't know. I don't see the mating net, and maybe there. I don't know. But this bishop is also still defending some squares. But there will be a threat at some point against this king. If you tell me it's not there, I can't say I believe you. It's not going to happen. So I mean, this is one point, and then I'm still wondering. I mean, they make too much computer. They rely too much on the computer. Or yeah, this is the way it developed, and I'm not quite happy with this development. This is the move that's going to happen, right? And this is what he played. And now Nakamura made a bit of a surprise move, I would call it. Was it? No, he played bishop c6. And after rook e7, you would consider any hitting here, right? But you would not consider this. But this is what he played. Because you give up this pawn with a check. And why would you do that, right? And it may be around here when the computer even said go and play f6, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to look at it. I mean, you simply place your pieces well, and then you go on, right? What did he do now? Oh, I forgot. He played this. He played this. And what did he do with this rook? Did something with this rook? I don't know. Yeah, rook d1. I just wanted to... I said that he's going to do something with this rook. And this is threatening the king, right? And rook g3, of course, is not going to work. Because king f4. And it's not an of course. And it never will be any kind of course. And I shouldn't say that, actually. Because you have to calculate all the lines. And if you were an amateur or player like me, and you would say, well, I have to calculate what happens and what happens now after rook g5 and so on. But simply you would say, well, pieces are coming in and it's going to be a mess for them. I mean, we could make these moves now and simply say, well, this is checkmate. What are you thinking there? Or I'm going to pick up the bishop at least. Rook h6. Oh, there's rook f8. Does it stop the mate? Well, I'm not sure now, and not even what the computer would suggest here. I'm not sure. But it looks like a win anyway. I mean, you're going to win a pawn at least at some point. And so on, and simply, so I shouldn't argue like that or say things I have to regret a second later. Anyway, he played king f6, of course. Stopping this rook d6 mess here, and I think he went here, and I'm pretty sure king went here, because you simply have to stop that move. And now this is amazing, and it's another amazing, also what the move order, things coming up, lines they saw, lines the commentators did not see, and the way the game went. So what happened here? I mean, Caruana said after the game, the move he made was a blunder. which is not really true. But he said he had to play the move rook h8, right? Which is, I mean, who would make this move? I mean, but he simply says he has to make this move. And somehow well, what is this rook gonna do, right? I mean, it's attacking this pawn, but this one's covering the pawn. So what else would you do with this rook? Keep in mind, there is still the chance whenever this king moves, the pawn is gonna move and attack this. So even with a check here and then move the pawn, still attacking this rook. And I mean, you simply wouldn't do it, and still he gives some lines and he says, well, you would never be worse, and so on. But still, it's an amazing defense that he finds here. And I think, I mean, to keep this objectivity until the end, right? And simply do not start dreaming, right? You're winning. Just try to find the best move for yourself and for your opponent. And that's what makes you play get better. Anyway, white will be better for sure, but still, I'm not sure how big the advantage is. But let's go to the game, and this is a very human move because you say, well, I'm going to play h5, and this pawn is still en prise, and this one is covered, and this rook, it's not active in that sense, but it may become active, right? Rook b8 at some point. And so I'm not using this rook to attack, to cover this pawn. Now, first of all, the move he played and the analysis, and what did Caruana say? He said this was a blunder. I mentioned this already, right? But what kind of, I mean, at what level are these guys thinking? I mean, you would simply say, to find this move g4, this is brilliant, right? I mean, this is moment of brilliance. Would you consider g4? And he does not just consider it, he says, well, h5 is a blunder because I got g4, right? Didn't you see that? Still, he's not fully right. Because there's still this amazing defense, which showed the computer once again, right? It is still, I think it's somewhere, I mean, I can't avoid looking at this evaluations, although even if I wished, I wouldn't see that, right? It is still around plus 1.7. And why would it be plus 1.7? Because all those pawns are weak here, and at some point, white is gonna, well, first of all, computer, I even think I remember the line the computer gave. He said, hit here, take this one, and now make this move, right? Simply to I mean, this is maybe computer chess, I don't know, but it would, yeah, any human would, yeah, try to learn from this. Right? Because you're not starting to pick up pawns, it's not possible even, right? You're not intruding here, you're just fixing this weakness. I don't know how to, but this black had nothing to do, right? He can't do anything. Can't go anywhere. Rook can stay on the 5th rank because it's going to cover this. This one is closer to promotion. Maybe even knight b5 at some point, right? And then take here. But you must have to make sure that the king is out of check reach for the rook. Anyway, it's plus 1.7, so it should be a winning position, although it's amazing that we have only two pieces left and 3 pawns each, and you couldn't say though this white pawn structure is so superior. It is just this knight which is so superior, and it's still staying there, right? Keep that in mind, or remember my words. So anyway, it may be a lost position, and maybe here after rook h8, I also can't remember what the computer, the evaluation. I just know that h5 is very human, and to miss g4, if he even missed it. But he starts shaking his head, Nakamura. So in some sense, the move g4, yeah, find it, make it, yeah, be sure it's the right one. You're not missing anything, right? But you can't hit here because of check, and check on a5. And it's gonna be checkmate, right? This is already checkmate. Well, he may intercept with the rook, But if he goes with the king anywhere, it's gonna be checkmate, right? In 2 more moves, bishop b5 and bishop c5. So it is a great move, g4. And as I said, rook h8 was the best, and you should not wonder at some point that these players start to make mistakes. And he made this move, and I still would like to show you, and it's actually not really what I want to do in this video, but it still happened that way. Now, this is Karpov concept, right? Is it the Karpov concept? I mean, you would never pick up pawns until they are just dropping off, right? Maybe you would play knight e4 even if there wouldn't be a pawn. So it's not a, it comes naturally. And now they started looking at where is this rook gonna go, right? And it's got nowhere to go. And this is completely lost, which you may not yet fully notice when you're human. But the funny thing is, what I would like to point out in the next step, I mean, there are 2 ways the rook can enter the position. And it is via f1, f6 winning, or d1, d6. So, I mean, rook e5 would be refuted by either of these, I think, because you cannot oppose here because of trade. You always like to see that, right? Trade, knight d6, picking up the rook, and you cannot oppose here because it's en prise. So you can't do anything, actually. This is, I mean, you can still sack the exchange maybe on e4. But the king is still in a mating net, I think. Anyway, this is now, he picked up the pawn, long last, and this is not, now there comes a difficult technique. I picked up the pawn, I'm gonna pick up the others, but you're gonna shake hands before that. Where's the rook gonna go? Went to f5, and now this is covering this entry, and it's also in some sense covering this entry. I mean, it's not covering anything because the position is lost, right? But rook d5 would somehow stop it. In this case, you would not lose the rook, but you would just lose the bishop, which also ends the game. Still, I mean, now I would like to come back they seem to be very surprised that Caruana did not make this move. But it's as simple as that. I mean, there is a computer, and he says this is the best move, I think. This is the best move. So why doesn't he play this best move? And they all saw, because they discussed it for minutes, half an hour already, because Caruana Nakamura was short on time, but he was using his time. Of course, because he was trying to find a way out. But now they seem to be surprised that he doesn't play this move. It's maybe the number one move. But when I saw him playing this move, I didn't expect this either. But what I see instantly is there is a clear win. And I mean, why would they? I mean, now you have 2 ways of winning the game, and he takes one certain way. He was sure, and so there's no difference. And look at how the game went. King e7. We all see this fork here. We all see he gotta give a check here, and you could still say there's this last nervy moment, because if the king would be going here, right? What was this move? Again. What did the computer... Because they were showing this, right? And I couldn't do much about it. Sometimes you simply... I mean, this was a much better move, was king d4. But what was the answer after? I neither remember it nor can I see it now. Not at all. There is no move. Right? What is the move? I mean, if it were rook c5, oh, now I know. Sure. I mean, it is rook c5 because there's no other move. And there is a threat of rook e6. It's simply, the game would go on a bit, right? There may be ways of winning, but it's so obvious that you are going to go here, right? It is so obvious because it's also asymmetrical. And I'm sure, I mean, Caruana foresaw that, and not just this. I mean, you may have thought about this move, but he was sure he was going to make it. So they tried to make some excitement, which wasn't there, because they said after king f4, game would still go on. But it's far too obvious, right? King is going to here. Just to make you a bit better understand what level these players are playing, right? This is the only move now, because there are two rooks, and both of them are attacked, right? And there is one move defending them both. And it's this move. And every player in the world would make this move. Nakamura did not make this move, right? Why didn't he make this move? Because he foresaw this position. And I mean, you have a look at this move, right? I mean, rook, this is even setting up a deadly threat, right? And you could also say, well, he could fall for this, and I'm gonna win, even maybe. I don't know, the way that I mean, rook c4 would not work because of king e5, but the game might still go on. But rook cd5, not convincing. Rook ed5. Well, maybe it's actually still winning, right? Silly move, but it would still be winning, would it? Okay, try this, and I try this. I mean, it's just silly, right? No one would make this move. But there's no checkmate here, or is it? No. That's what I was trying to say, right? I'm gonna go here. Okay, it's still winning. I mean, I can't do much about it. Because rook a8, rook d8. And there's still rook h8, and pick up this one. I mean, you would not like to play this, but it would be winning, right? Now you take this. Yeah, well, there is a threat of bishop a2 now. There's a threat of bishop g8. Yeah, it's there. Maybe it's there. Because imagine it were black to move now. How could we do that? I mean, it's a funny line, just I wanted to show you. So we're gonna arrange that black is gonna move and he's gonna execute his threat. You would rather, you better advise maybe to take here. But there's now king d4, and now you should not hit here because pick up this one and pick up this one. So you would rather check here to avoid this. And now king is going here. And you're in that same misery, right? So he's gonna pick up all your pieces. So bishop g8 is not a threat, but it would be funny if it were one. Anyway, I get carried away sometimes by such silly lines. So maybe knight c4 is even winning. But who would play knight c5 if he sees e4 and does have this move, right? And this is, I mean, for me, this is just an amazing position to even look at it. And it's what I want to try to point out. Nakamura did not play the move rook c8, c5 because he didn't want to resign in this position, right? Because it's, you would feel really, really awful in this position, right? Well, I should have resigned the move earlier, he would say. Right? I mean, it's so hopeless. What could you do? You can't do anything. You can't do anything. What could you do? You can't do anything. I'm not gonna move. Yeah, you can't move. Please make a move. No, I'm not gonna make a move. What would you do? Like, please make a move. No, you can't. Look at this position. And that's why he resigned in this position. And I really find that amazing. Because he knows this is gonna come and I'm not gonna end up in this position. No, I can't. I mean, what would all my fans, what would they say? No. I lost like a man. I gave up here. Nothing to play for, so I resigned. I call it a day. Because this position, no, please, I don't know if you can share that joy, but anyway. I'll leave you with this, although I would have these two other examples to show, but it's long enough, I think, and maybe you still liked it, and I will record some more. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.